Hey, welcome back to the Pen Hut. This is Tommy again. I actually wanted to do a really quick video. I know I always say that. This is a different topic. This one is relating to finding pens, vintage pens on your own or in the wild, as I like to say. Uh, I've actually been looking around, I'd say for the last 4 or 5 months. I've been going here and there to a couple flea markets, antique stores, things like that in the area here. I'm in Massachusetts, by the way, and it's actually pretty fun. So a couple quick things that you might want to consider when you head out is especially if you're going to a flea market. There's a lot of different vendors, of course, all over the place. Sometimes they're not manning their booth, or sometimes there's just a ton of different things there, and it's kind of hard to find things. So the first thing is just do a walkthrough. Do a walkthrough of the whole flea market and just see what they have. And second, it would be to ask questions. Don't be shy. They a lot of them are very well aware that there's a ton of stuff, and you're not going to be able to see every single item just by walking around. So one thing that you can do is ask. I always look for places that have different displays, or maybe collectibles, or small little vintage item type things. Maybe they have something. So I'll just say, hey, I'm looking for some fountain pens. Do you know where I could find some? They possibly know where they have some there. And B, if they don't, they might know somebody else at the flea market that carries them. Usually if you're going to a place that's open every week, sometimes they chit chat and they kind of know what their competition is. They know who carries what. So definitely don't be shy. Definitely ask, hey, do you have fountain pens? Do you know if anybody has them? There have been a few situations where they didn't have any fountain pens, and that's fine. But they said, hey, so and so down there usually has them. Go check it out. And I'd ask them, and they say, hey, you know what? We don't have it this week because we, have a table at a few different flea markets, and we normally do. So if you can come back and see us, and maybe take down your info, or give them your info, or take down theirs, and you can kind of come back and circle around and see what they have. So I found that to be pretty cool too. The second thing is, if you were going to visit a flea market, try to visit two in one day. Sometimes you'll get lucky and the first place you go has them. Sometimes you don't, and you go to the second place and maybe they have ballpoints, or maybe they have something else. But at least you can kind of network a little bit there and see what might be available. And I'd say the third thing is, you don't have to write it down, but you want to kind of keep track of these things. So if hey, you know what, I visited 5 different flea markets last month. These 2 have them, these 3 don't have them. Then you kind of have an idea of what you're looking at, and then you can also remember where you went and where you found them, because there are some flea markets that are massive, and you might find a couple pens in one booth, a couple pens at another booth. Come back a month later and they're not in the same place anymore, or maybe there's a different person at the counter. Anything. Basically what I'm getting at is people that carry fountain pens are buying them at estates and other places on purpose. So it's likely that they will continue to carry them. So you want to kind of build that pipeline for yourself and get those contacts so you can come back and find them. So those are just a few tips. I'd say the last tip, it's probably not the last one, because as you can see I'm rambling now, but you definitely want to bring a loupe with you at all times, because even if the pen looks nice, if the nib's all bent, or it's crooked, or it's unaligned, or anything, you want to be able to look really closely at the pen and see if it makes sense for you. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. If it's a nib that you can remove easily and replace it, and you already have one at home, then maybe it is worth buying one that is slightly damaged if the whole pen is intact and in really good shape. Sometimes there are going to be some pens that are really nice, not rare pieces, but some that that are worth a little bit more, and you have to decide really quickly on the spot if that's something that you want to buy and something you can deal with at a low price, or if it's not worth it to you. Sometimes I have passed on fountain pens because I already had one similar, or I had one in better condition, or I just had too many of them already, and that's fine. You don't have to buy everything that's out there. The other thing I was going to say, and I kind of mentioned it earlier, is there are going to be some regular ballpoints, things like that. They might have like sets. Even if you are a fountain pen collector, sometimes it's not bad to get some of those sets, especially if they're in good condition. Usually you can tell if they're damaged or not damaged. Definitely bring that loop. And sometimes it's as easy as just buying another pen refill and you're good to go. So sometimes if you do go to flea markets to buy things that you're going to resell, sometimes those are good ones too. If it's a decent brand, you'd be surprised the price ranges that you'll find on pens. A lot of times people don't do the research on what it's worth, and a lot of times it's a very, very minor item that they're selling. They're not really targeting to sell those things per se, but they have them there because it's a nice, nice items to have. I think this past weekend I found a couple pen sets, like $5 a piece, 2 pens, and they still had the original box, which was nice. I found another fountain pen. It was a Platinum, which is an older brand in really good condition. The little ballpoint with it was not in good condition, but the Platinum pen it's worth about 4 times what I paid for it. So sometimes you'll find interesting things like that. And I would say another really big tip, if you are going to be going to flea markets regularly, definitely do your homework. You don't have to know everything about everything because there's just way too much to know. Once you kind of go out a few times, you'll start recognizing some of the pens that are popping up. Like around here, some Boston-based brands appear every now and again. A lot of random Parkers pop up. A lot of Schaefers pop up. Wherever pops up a lot. I don't really see a lot of Esterbrooks, but kind of have an idea. So get like a little book or something that you can read to just kind of get the basics. So if you see a Schaefer, because there are some that don't have anything written on them, maybe on the nib or someplace else, but it's hard to see. Know the basics. So if you see a Parker, be like, oh, that's a Parker. If you're looking at a display case, nothing might look interesting to you, but you might recognize, something and be like, oh, you know what, that might be something. There's a lot of ballpoints back in the day that looked like fountain pens. So you might go in there and be like, oh yeah, let me look at those 5 fountain pens there, and then they open them up and they're not fountain pens. So learn enough to be able to distinguish a fountain pen from a ballpoint, distinguish certain models, just the basics, and keep learning. The way that I do it is I buy some stuff. Sometimes I'm not quite sure. I know it's a Schaefer, but I'm not quite sure what it is. I'll buy it. I look at it later and be like, oh, this is what this is. This is what it might be worth, and then kind of do it that way. So do your homework a little bit, but have fun with it. I don't stress out if I don't find anything. I don't stress out on prices too much. Especially at flea markets, the prices generally going to be very reasonable, and always negotiate with them, of course. And let them know that you're looking for things like that. If you have a phone number or anything you can give them, maybe they have more and they can bring more next time, and then you'll have more to choose from. Because I'll tell you right now, almost everybody online that I hear, posting on our Facebook group says, hey, you know what? I go to flea markets, but I never find anything. And that's not fun either. If you go to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different flea markets and you find one fountain pen, that can't be fun. So if you do find a source, give them your info, see if they have more, and build off of that, and then find other flea markets. If it means you have to go another 15, 20 minutes somewhere else, or maybe you have to take a day trip to another state, even if you're not too far from another state. Sometimes it's fun to make a day trip, go an hour out, do some sightseeing, go exploring, and then go visit a flea market. You'll be surprised, if sometimes I've gone down to the Cape or gone to Providence, You went to Western Mass. You know, if you see something that might be in the area, go check it out. That most flea markets don't really charge you anything to go wander around, and if you see something, you see something. So I think I ramble a little bit too much, but basically what I'm saying is it's fun. There is stuff out there. You got to look for it. You got to ask for it, and if you find stuff, try to see if they have more, and just keep at it, because it's a revolving door. If you buy all the stuff they have, obviously they don't have any more. They're going to want to replenish, because they're like, hey, you know what? I sell these fountain pens when I put them out on display. So it's fun. Just get out there and have fun, and hopefully find something interesting. Sometimes you will find something that's worth a lot more than you thought it was, and you'll be happy. But enjoy the hunt.